Hey, welcome to the Empowered and Free podcast. My name is Erin Kimbrell, and I'm a counselor, certified life coach, breathwork coach, and small town mom of two. I know firsthand what it feels like to live with high functioning anxiety. For most of my life, I had so much mental mess, anxiety, people pleasing, perfectionism, overthinking, constant worrying, and never feeling good enough. On my decade-long journey to feeling better, I've learned how to take back my life from high-functioning anxiety and helped others to do the same through my coaching and breathwork programs. Now I want to share everything I know with you. This podcast will help you feel empowered over your high-functioning anxiety and free to finally live the life of your dreams. Now, grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and dive into the episode. I'm Erin Kimbrell, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast. Hey, friend. Welcome back to the Empowered and Free podcast. Today, we are talking about 6 everyday habits that you might be doing that are making your anxiety worse. And what to do instead of doing those things. I know as somebody who is super busy myself, my to-do list is crazy long. And with that, overwhelm can come, anxiety can come, and these can kind of feel unavoidable. But now I know that that's not actually true. So we're going to dig into what if your daily habits that you're actually doing every single day are making your anxiety worse without you even realizing it. Okay. So I want to, first of all, say that I'm coming at this not in like a pointing finger, you're doing this thing wrong. Instead, I just want to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? This might actually not be helping you. And the reason I say that they're habits is because they're things that we're doing a lot of times on autopilot, like we're not even really thinking through that we're doing these things. So, can we just put a little bit of awareness to them today? Awareness is one of my favorite words, my clients know. And just pay attention to the things that we're doing. Okay. So I just want to kind of enlighten you a little bit today with these 6 daily habits. Maybe choose one, put some focus on it for the next week or two, and then go from there. You don't have to do a full overhaul. I know that you probably don't have the mental space for that or the capacity, and that is not what I'm asking you to do. Just bring in, again, a little bit of light, shining some light on what is going on every single day in your life. So, number one in the everyday habits that you might be doing is overloading on caffeine to get through the day. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while or follow me on Instagram stories, you know that I have what I call a love-hate relationship with caffeine. What I mean by that is I love the way it makes me feel to an extent, and then I hate the way it makes me feel. Like I kind of used to get a little bit of energy from caffeine, and then came the jitters and the anxiety and the upset stomach and the on edge and the jumpiness. None of that was fun. So it's one of those things, like again, that love-hate relationship. So I know that if you're kind of in this boat, you're probably thinking, yes, I desperately need that burst of energy that caffeine gives me, even if it's just a little bit, because I'm so freaking tired. But also, the real truth is it doesn't help you get out of that deep exhaustion that you feel. It actually only kind of makes you feel more anxious. It makes you feel edgy, jumpy, kind of that on edge feeling. It makes your heart race. It makes you shaky. If you're anything like me, I remember when I was working with my hormone doctor over the summer, last summer actually, she said when she heard that I was drinking any caffeine, she was like, Erin, you're an anxiety coach. Like, what are you talking about? She just had to like shoot me straight, which I appreciate. And she said, it is like you are hooking up an IV of cortisol straight into your veins. I was like, wow. And if you don't know, cortisol is our stress hormone. So it is like we are just pumping that stress hormone straight into our bodies when we drink caffeine. So again, that was a big wake up call for me. I was like, what am I doing? Like, is this small bit of energy that caffeine is really giving me worth all the other effects? And so that's why I bring it up. It is a daily habit. I'm somebody that loves to have my warm cup of something. I need like a new title because it's not a cup of coffee really anymore, but I need a warm cup of something. It's just like my routine. It makes me feel good. I don't get to do it every single day, but when I do, I just feel happier. I like doing that, but we don't have to rely on caffeine to kind of push us through. I was drinking a cup of coffee in the morning, then I was drinking maybe one or well, like one energy drink, which gosh, those have so much caffeine.
Or I then switched to like the energy packets that had a little bit less caffeine, like 70, 80 milligrams. And I just had to, again, get real with myself. Is this helping me? Was the energy it was giving me worth the other effects? So that's just what I want to bring to light. Is your caffeine habit, in whatever way of choice, really helping you get through the day? Or is it just kind of putting you on the cycle of caffeine dependency where it's kind of like a roller coaster. You feel like you really need it. You kind of come up, you maybe get a little energy burst, and then you drop hardcore and you need more caffeine. I've talked about caffeine half-life, which is the time that it takes to kind of get through your body. So, if you want to learn more about this, what you really could do instead of overloading on caffeine to get through the day is to check out episode 48 of the podcast. I talk about the 6 best coffee substitutes for less anxiety and more energy. And these are things that I'm kind of constantly coming back to. Caffeine now is more of a rarity than an everyday thing, but I do still have a little bit of love. So I get it if you're not quite ready to give your caffeine up. I just wanted you to hear me out on number one. Okay. All right. So, number two of the habits that you're doing that could be giving you more anxiety every day is another one I've talked to you guys about struggling with, which is staying up late scrolling on social media. And I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to you because, again, I'm always sharing in real time. But this habit of scrolling on social media right before bed is not helping you decompress like you think it is. And I have tracked this. Okay. What I found is that looking at your phone, whether it's right before bed or first thing in the morning, what it actually does is raises your cortisol, aka your stress hormone. Again, a beautiful thing that I learned through my hormone coach it was last summer. And anyway, instead of helping you de-stress, it is actually making you feel more stressed. So, this again, I'll just share because I'm always being real with you guys. I feel like I have curated my social media feeds to be people that I actually love to see, people that make me feel happy or inspired, or even what we call like comfort creators. You just feel good watching them. But I started tracking on my Aura Ring. You guys know I love my Aura Ring, which tracks a bunch of different health biometrics in my body. And I started tracking my Aura Ring, specifically my stress levels. That's one of my favorite features of the Aura Ring. And as I was scrolling on social media, I could see my stress level shoot up like insane amounts. And it's like, why? Why is that? And so, as I put some more thought into it, this is just my personal theory. As we're going through social media, things move so fast. So, my mind is just kind of going. It's like racing. I'm thinking about so many things that I want to do, like maybe hobbies, or I'm like, oh, I need to go do that thing. I need to add this to my list. That looks so fun. That looks so cool. I want to go buy that thing, blah, 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 right? Just busy brain. And so, and also sometimes I get into a little bit of a comparison trap online of whether it is like a personal comparison trap with my own personal goals, like my health goals, and or if it's more of a business, like me comparing my business. Why is she further along than me? What am I doing wrong? So I do think some of that, the comparison trap, beating myself up, feeling guilty, that contributed to the stress levels too. But the main point here is that it was not actually helping me wind down at all. So, you staying up late scrolling on social media is also not helping because you're staying up late. It is hard to break the habit. Social media is built to be addictive. They want to keep us on the app for as long as they can. And so when we kind of get stuck in this, I'm looking for the next video, your brain is waiting on that dopamine hit. And we think, oh, one more video. Let me watch one more video. And we're just kind of in the search of that feel good chemical in our brain. It is crazy, man. Like, I love social media for all the amazing things that it helps me do with my business and sharing with you guys and meeting you guys and talking to you. And we have to learn to use it responsibly. So, not only was me scrolling social media not really helpful, but staying up late, past my bedtime, not getting enough sleep, feeling more tired in the morning leads to more anxiety the next day. So, with that being said, what could we do instead of scrolling our phone at night to decompress? If you're like me, those sometimes are the only moments that I really truly have to myself. If I have a super busy day where I'm not taking care of someone else, is like that little bit of time right before bed. So if you listen to episode 40, I shared about my morning routine, how I created my anti-anxiety morning routine. I would love to do a full nighttime routine. If that's something that you want to hear, please let me know because I'm happy to create that episode if it will be helpful. Here are some things that I like to do to help myself wind down. Obviously, your list could be different. Maybe you want to play a relaxing game. I have gotten into Wordle again. I know that was so 2020 when we were all like COVID times, but I am back into Wordle. My husband plays every day. I play, then we kind of like have a little bit of competition, like, oh, how many times did it take you to get? But it's just fun and it doesn't make my brain think too much. If I'm totally exhausted, I'm not playing Wordle. Like I'm just going to bed. But I do like to do something like that or coloring. I've shared a little bit on Instagram stories about how I picked up coloring as like a little habit while I'm watching TV. That's not really right before bed, but sometimes I do like to watch TV right before bed. So probably not the best habit, but potentially maybe better than scrolling social media. What would be even better is if I would pick up a book. So reading is a really good habit right before bed. Of course, journaling is a really good way to like brain dump your thoughts, share any reflections you have for the day. I do like to lay on the floor and put my legs up the wall. So like your butt is on the wall and your legs are up the wall. That is such a regulating activity. It calms down your nervous system and it is super simple because I'm all about easy. So legs up a wall or even stretching. Sometimes I'll do some nighttime stretching if I'm already down on the floor. Again, I can be a little bit lazy. So if I'm not, it's hard to get me there. Maybe praying. This is what I do if I do feel like I'm struggling with a lot of worry or overthinking, I will pray about it. That helps me feel better. Doing a skincare routine can feel really nice because then we're like touching our face too, which is really grounding. We're using our senses to calm down. Other times I might turn on some relaxing music or listening to like an encouraging or motivational speech kind of. So sometimes I'll pull up like something similar to like a TED Talk. Now I'm in a ton of groups. I love to learn, so I'm like a lifelong learner, but sometimes I will turn on something that I'm listening to. I'm in several different memberships, not only for my business, but also for personal growth and development, which is what's got me here so far. So I will turn on one of those like little mini lessons or something. And it's just enough that like takes my mind off of the day. So it is decompressing and it is really encouraging. But those are just things that I enjoy. I know that was kind of a long list, but options that you need to think about are what helps you wind down that doesn't involve technology would be best. Like we're not on our phones, preferably not watching TV. Again, I get it because I kind of like to watch TV at night too. If you want to find the journal that I linked, it's actually in my Amazon storefront in the anti-anxiety morning routine essentials section. Along with all of those caffeine substitutes, those are listed there, but then the journal is listed there too. So just check out the Amazon storefront if you want a direct link. I love that journal. I talked about that in the episode, so I won't go into it here, but any habits that you can put in place to not scroll your phone would be amazing. So good luck to you on that one. That is something I'm still working on myself. All right, that was habit number 2. Let's talk about habit number 3. This is going to get my high achievers. I just know it because I am you and you are me. Rushing around all the time from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. I want you to just take a second and go like, how does my day start? Do I normally, once I'm like awake, do I kind of hop out of bed and then it's just like go, 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 go from there, staying in go mode all the time? Do you do everything on hyper speed? You feel like you have to check off the items on your list as fast as you can. You feel like you can't be inefficient. Like everything has to be an efficient use of time. You hate wasting time. You even walk fast. I kind of joke about this because okay, my daughter, she's not gonna want me putting her on blast, but she has always moved at her own pace. We have a nickname around here, and I'm not gonna put her on blast, but she moves just like she's a stop and smell the flowers kind of girl. And the high achiever, go, 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 rush, 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 don't be inefficient. Um, Part of me, which is not necessarily the healthy part of me, right? But that part of me would be like, why are we going so slow? And now I realize that a lot of that was just me, like kind of jealous of that natural slowness and pace. But thinking that you have to do everything fast or quickly is not necessarily a great thing. It actually, in some ways, can be a trauma response. I talk about that more inside of the Haven, where we really break down why we feel like we have to move fast all the time and why we can't take breaks and why we feel guilty with resting. But I just want you to take a second and notice, like, are you rushing? Do you feel that perpetual like pressure to get things done fast and you kind of move at that speed all the time? If so, I'm sure that is built into a lot of your habits throughout the day. So, what can you do instead of doing that? Practice slowing down. Even just notice how my voice shifted into a slower pace. It can be something small like that, not feeling like you have to rush through conversations, or maybe even starting, like we just talked about, taking your morning cup and kind of your routine or whatever it is for you, starting with a morning routine or a night routine, picking one thing on that list and slowing that process down. So for me, let's go back to like my favorite part, which is drinking a warm beverage in the morning, like actually slowing down, not scrolling my phone while I do that, not doing anything else, but just sitting, maybe feeling the warm cup in my hand, tasting it, actually tasting it, not being up in my head thinking about my to-do list for the day or anything like that, just being mindful. Maybe you decide to do this at your lunch break, and mindfully eat your lunch. Notice the taste and the texture. Or, like I said, maybe you do it at nighttime when you're winding down. These little, what I call slow sips of rest, are for your nervous system. We can learn over time that you don't have to go, 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 that you actually can slow down. And that's kind of a balance that I work towards every single day. I can be very fast paced in my work because work is where I struggle with a lot of these behaviors the most. So I really, as I'm in my off time and I come home, that's the time when I'm out there on the hammock, if you watch my stories, and I'm just trying to slow down. Okay. So, number three habit is rushing, feeling like you always have to do things quickly. Number four, the habit here is putting things off or avoiding things that make you anxious. I am always talking about how this is not actually helpful. And this is coming from a number one avoider. I used to avoid every single thing that felt hard or would give me any type of anxiety or anxious feelings or nervousness. I would just avoid it for as long as I could. And so it's just that whole like, I'll do it later mentality. I live and breathe by my calendar and my reminders on my phone. So pretty much every day I have multiple things popping up saying, like, do this. And actually, I was laughing at myself. This is just a little side note, but you guys will probably think it's funny. On Friday, something popped up and the reminder said, do. That was it. Just D-O, do. I was like, oh no, like, what am I forgetting? What was that supposed to say that it doesn't say? Because I have no idea. So I was supposed to do something Friday at 6 o'clock, and I don't know what it is. That is how much I like really rely on my reminders to pop up on my phone. And I use Google Calendar for personal and business, and everything in life is on the calendar and it is color coded. And what I'll do if I like cannot, I don't have the mental capacity to do that thing today, or that it does bring out some anxiety, I will like bump it off. Let me bump it till tomorrow at the same time, or let me postpone it a week. I'll just push it out, right? Maybe you have your to-do list and you just take the thing and you rewrite it on tomorrow's to-do list. This is what I'm talking about. This can be something as simple as like scheduling that meeting that you need to do, or an appointment that you have put off. I shared, I think it was on stories last year, about how I had several appointments that I had put off for years. And I finally did them last year and I was so proud of myself. And then while I was there, I booked for the next year. So I actually saw that one, which was the dermatologist, is coming up next month. And I was like, thank you, past me, for like making me go ahead and do this thing, because otherwise, who knows how long it would have been. So maybe it is making your tax appointment. Maybe it is going to the gynecologist. Maybe it's meeting with your kids' teachers. Whatever it is for you, what thing have you just kind of put off and put off? Because it feels easier in the moment. You don't have to worry about it today. Okay. But the truth is, It is still in your mind, is it not? It is back there running in the depths of your mind, kind of constantly popping back up every day or a few days and going, oh, yeah, hey, you still need to do that thing. Remember, it still makes you nervous because every time we think about it, we get anxious. Okay. So that could be the first part here. Avoiding having a hard conversation is another example. You know, you need to do it, but the anxiety that you feel thinking about it, or the disappointment that you feel in the person or the situation, or maybe it's like the anger and the resentment and the frustration that you have about it. The longer you put that conversation off, the more all of those things are just going to build and build and build. So stop worrying about how the conversation is going to go and just tell the person how you feel. Like, get it out, okay? Because avoiding it, again, it's still in there, and it will continue to get worse. That's just the reality. And then the third part here of like putting things off or avoiding things that makes you anxious is our normal anxiety triggers. Okay. So maybe it is sending the email. Maybe you know you need to send an email and you just kind of keep pushing and pushing and pushing it off. Send the email. Okay. I promise it will be okay and you'll feel so much better once it's done. Maybe it's that thing of like, oh, I need to check my bank account. I know so many people experience like financial anxiety and worry about money. Maybe that's the thing. Hop on the phone right now and check your bank account. That way you know what's going on, because once you do it, the anxiety typically is not as high because we're not in that like, oh man, what's it gonna say? What's it gonna say? I don't know. All right. What about for me? Again, always sharing a personal example because I want to be real with you guys and not make you think I'm just some perfect person over here who never struggles. For me, this past week, I was just talking to our friends about walking. So you guys know we live in the middle of nowhere, lots of woods around. And one thing, I used to love walking in the woods, and then I have a fear of snakes, and I'm working on that. Let me not say. Let me say instead, I'll do a quick reframe in real life. I am in the process of not being afraid of snakes. I'm in the process of learning how to be less fearful around snakes. Like, so instead of avoiding going on the walk in the woods because of a snake, my friend was talking to me and going, "Well, you know what? Is that really accurate?" Is basically what he was saying, which was helpful because I go, "You know what? You're so right, actually." Good point. So I'm gonna go take a walk in the woods instead of being in avoidance of that fear because then it just gets worse. So, what is it for you that you need to do? Maybe it is you need to apply for the job or take the test or do that public speaking that you've kind of been pushing off, whatever it is. Like, there's so many things. What anxiety triggers are you having right now and you just keep pushing them off? Because what we need to do instead, friend, is do the thing. Do the thing. We all need to do the thing. Schedule the appointment, have the conversation, go to the meeting. Do the thing that makes you anxious because that's the only way that you will move through the anxiety. That is actually how we teach anxiety, that it is not this big scary thing, is we take small steps to move through it. That's what I love, love, love helping you do so much. That is one of my favorite things to see people win inside of my programs, to see my clients make the progress that they've always wanted when really they just needed a little bit of support to get there. So I hope that this is your reminder today to just do the thing. It will be okay. I would love to cheer you on. So if you do the thing, let me know. Okay. Otherwise, it will just kind of linger in your brain, and we don't want that. Okay, we are on to number 5 of the everyday habits that you do that could be causing you more anxiety. And this is another big one: saying yes when you want to say no. Who has been there? You have so badly wanted the words to come out of your mouth to say, I can't do that. But instead you said, sure thing. Yeah, no problem. No worries. Got it. And that is because you have a good heart. Like, you don't want to let people down. You don't want them to be upset with you. These are just classic people pleaser tendencies coming from someone who gets it all too well. And it just causes you more anxiety to tell someone no. So in the moment, it feels easier to just say, yes, yes, I will do that thing. But in the end, we know that that just makes you feel more resentful. You get more frustrated, more angry about it. And then on top of that, you're exhausted. You're overwhelmed. You know that you don't have the capacity to do the thing that you're now in charge of doing because you did say yes. So, what can we do instead here? We can practice saying no nicely. I love talking about this because me learning how to do this was life-changing, like truly life-changing. I remember a job interview I went for years ago, and they said, like, what is your number one struggle or something you struggle with or challenge or whatever, however they worded it. And I said, not signing up for everything, like not just over giving of myself because I just so badly wanted that. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be helpful. I wanted people to know that I was valuable for what I was doing. And me learning how to say no nicely, because that's where I had to start, as have always identified as like a nice, friendly person. So it was important to me that I was able to do that in a nice way. That was like my little step. I talk about taking the next step. Saying no nicely was it. I will make a whole separate episode. Again, if you're interested in that, if that will be helpful to you, please let me know so that I'll know what you want to hear and I can make an episode about that. But again, one of my favorite things to teach, we will have a whole entire lesson on this, like a master class essentially on this inside of the Haven, which I am so excited for that. Okay. But I want you to practice this now. I'm going to give you two examples, two kind of prompts that you could use, one for personal, one for professional. Okay. So practice this now if you need to hear it. Personal, you can say, oh, I wish I could. Like, I wish I could do that thing, but I can't. I hope it goes well. This is something I use all the time. Sometimes I even say good luck instead, like good luck, I hope it goes well, that kind of thing. You don't have to explain why you cannot do it. You don't have to go into a 50-step process of what's on your calendar or what's on your plate. You really don't. If you're somebody that feels like you need to have that reason, because again, I've been in your shoes, you can say, I have a ton going on right now, and sadly, it's not a good time for me. Okay? So practice that. If you need a personal example, here's a professional example. You could say, I am so flattered that you considered me for this opportunity. Let's say your boss is trying to like give you an extra project or an extra responsibility or whatever. I am so flattered that you considered me for this opportunity, but my plate is really full right now. There's no way I could complete that project and stay on top of my current tasks and responsibilities. My role is really important to me, so I don't want to spread myself too thin and overcommit. Boom, boom, bam. Straight to the point. It explains how much you do value what you do, and there is no more capacity. So the only way that that would happen is if something was taken off of your plate, if somebody else took a role or responsibility that you have. Okay, so hopefully those two examples were helpful. Make sure you save the episode if you need to come back to those or go and write them down really quickly. I love talking about that. That was number 5 on the list. And number 6 of the everyday habits that you are doing that could be causing you more anxiety are pretending that you're good and that everything is fine. Somebody says, "How you doing?" You say, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good." Or you just say good and your tone says you're not good. Or if somebody says, "How's everything going?" You say, "Everything's fine. Everything's fine." Right? Yeah, I know you guys have seen like stuff going around that says like everything's fine, I'm fine, and it's just such a masking way to kind of go through life. We put on this mask and we smile and we pretend and we make people think that we're good when we're not good. And my friend, I know like you were just trying to press on. You were just trying to keep going. And yet you're just like, when am I going to break? Like, I feel like I'm so close to this breaking point and I'm not good and I'm not fine, but I don't want other people to know what's going on. Keeping it all in to yourself and not sharing with anybody is just going to make it worse on you. Now, I don't suggest going around and somebody says, "How you doing?" and you just unload on them and they're like, "Dude, I'm just trying to like go to the bathroom," or whatever. But what you can do instead is find somebody that you trust and be honest with that person. Okay? If you think, well, I don't really have that person, like there's nobody that I really feel like I could trust, nobody that I want to share that with. And as somebody who struggles with opening up to others, I understand that. Like, I would rather keep things to myself. And now I know that that actually isn't really helpful for me. So if you don't feel comfortable with that, please, please, please reach out to help for help. Please don't feel like you have to just keep it all to yourself. There are so many of us, me included, and the women inside of the Haven who included, who understand. That is why we bond and connect so fast, because we just get it. Like, we think the same, our brains work the same, and we've gone through so many of the same struggles. So if that is you, know that the Haven is the perfect place for you. Truly it is, okay? And with that being said, make sure you hop on the Haven waitlist while it is open right now. If you missed it, the waitlist is the one place to get early access. As soon as the Haven opens up, you are the first one that has an opportunity to sign up for B, the first 25 spots that open up at half price. Okay. I want this for you. You can lock in for as long as you stay a member. You can lock into that half price off deal, which is incredible, like crazy price. So make sure you're on the wait list if you feel like I need that community. I want that. And I know that so many of you do. I have been talking to some past clients and they're like, when are we starting? I can't wait to start, because they miss that camaraderie and that companionship and that friendship and that connection. And I can tell you the women didn't come into the program looking for that. And that is what they left with, which is just, brings me to tears sometimes. So make sure you get on the wait list at erinkimbrell.com/links. It is the top list there. You just drop in your email address, super easy, and you're on the wait list. So that way you get that first email that comes out as soon as the wait list is open. All right, friends, I hope that today's episode was super helpful. Let's recap really quickly the 6 everyday habits that are making your anxiety worse. We also talked about what to do instead, okay? Number 1 is overloading on caffeine to get through the day. Number 2 was staying up late scrolling on social media. Number 3 was rushing around from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Number 4 was putting off or avoiding things that make you anxious. Number 5 was saying yes when you want to say no. And number 6 was pretending that you're good and that everything is fine when it's not. Okay. All right, friends. Again, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you want to hear next. I'm totally open always to new episodes and would love to drop those. That would be the most helpful for you. Have an amazing day. Go hop on the wait list, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You don't know how much it means to me. If you'd like more behind the scenes content, inspiration, and daily reminders that encourage and uplift you, follow me on Instagram at @HeyErinKimbrell and send me a DM to say hey. If any of the episodes have been super helpful for you, please consider leaving me a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. It helps me so incredibly much, and it allows the podcast to be seen by other people who need it. If you want to learn more from me, head to erinkimbrell.com. That's where you'll find all my free resources, read the podcast show notes, and learn more information about my online coaching and breathwork programs that help you create the life you want. I'm here for you, and I'm always cheering you on. I'll see you next time. I'm Erin Kimbrell, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast.